seasoning. I added a little bit of garlic to some of mine and extra thyme, but you can customize it to what you like. Pink Himalayan salt and a tablespoon or teaspoon of vinegar, apple cider vinegar with the mother.
This is the sirloin with potatoes, and carrots.
We just added flavors, different. Each of these jars are going to be different flavors because I want to taste what they all taste like. So that's a good thing. You can customize it to what you like.
Okay, this is the old Presto, which I've had many years. They still sell these new.
They do sell them new.
The main thing is make sure your seal is on perfect and good. That's the key.
And you need to replace these ever so often. And you can get order them.
And
replace the seal.
So we're going to lock this down.
Read your instructions because your canner might be different.
In this canner, you put 2 quarts of hot water before you start.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is, we do not put this on. This is a little cap.
Okay.
Here's a little secret.
All right.
You got 2 things. You got this little fella in the middle.
This little, like a little metal thing.
It will pop up when it seals.
Okay.
But what you want to watch for is bubbles right here.
Bubbles coming out of the top of this. There's a tiny little hole in the top of that. And we're going to show you this. So, yeah, I can see, that looks to me like that may already be starting to kind of,
yeah, but
maybe
we want the bubbles to come out, so that lets the air out.
All right, so very important.
Very important. So what I'm doing is I'm watching the gauge, which is on 0.
You've locked this, correct?
It's locked.
This is locked, all right?
And I'll just go ease this around. They can see the gauge.
And we have it on high as my stove will go.
And that's where you start. You start on high.
And we'll turn it around to let you see. I can hear it in there actually starting.
So what I'm waiting on is I want some water bubbles.
Okay.
And sometimes you'll get some, sometimes the air's done gone. But I'll do that first. I'll watch.
We're going to watch that little valve for bubbles. Now this is, you know, this is one of those things. I have done a hot pack canning method with my mother years ago. We canned tomatoes. And that is the most popular program I've ever done on this in however many years, 12 years, I think I'm starting my 12th year on Everydaymana, hundreds of shows. That is the #1 program that I've ever done. I know there's an interest in canning, and it's really having a revival right now. People want to preserve their food at home.
Well, like I said when we was doing the jars, I've opened up deer meat past 8 years. Still good. You do lose nutrition value, they say, after 3 or 4 years. But you don't really want to keep it fresh.
You're going to lose your flavor, though.
Right. The reason why it was 8 years, somehow it got lost and it was dated. And I happened to find out, I'll see what this, you know.
And we're going to show you at the end of all this, because we're actually doing this. We don't have any prepared ahead, because I've never done this. He's teaching me as he's teaching you of how to do this. And so we're going to show everybody at the end how to label your stuff. So just stay tuned for the final product here.
And the jars, when you buy your new can, we go with the wide mouth.
Okay. Yeah, there's 2 sizes. The narrow, I don't remember what I think that's just called regular, isn't it?
Regular.
Isn't it called regular? And then wide mouth. So we've got the wide mouth. Let me just show everybody, because I do have some extras. Because yours holds 7 quarts.
Correct.
This is what we've got in there filled. These are I just purchased these and ran them through my dishwasher.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Along with these.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Anytime you buy the new jars, I always put them through hot water and dish. I mean, it's just...
It just, you know, you just want to make sure they're clean. You can put these in your dishwasher or hand wash them, but not the flaps.
No.
You can't, these you do not, and these are not reusable. These are reusable.
Correct.
3 times you say, and then you kind of lose your structure.
Right. The old way of canning, people kept them for many years because it was different. This is pressure.
Yeah.
And so after 3, I have lost, like I said, 5 jars out of hundreds, but it blows the bottom off.
Okay.
And so it's best if you pressure can. I would go to new jars after the 3rd time.
And I want to add, and I know this to be the case because I do canning of vegetables. I've just never done any meats or anything.
See the water bubble?
Okay, yeah, I saw a bubble.
Yeah, that's bringing the air out.
Do not use regular jars like you buy mayonnaise in a jar.
No.
And you do not use those jars for canning. The integrity of the glass is not the same. You want to make sure that you are using canning jars. They're specifically for canning. And because my mama always used Ball brand, that's what I buy. But, I mean, they have different brands out there, but they're canning jars. Don't use your pickle and mayonnaise jars for pressure canning. The glass is different.
Totally different. That's probably a tempered for pressure.
So don't, because it could burst and shatter and you got a mess.
And so when you're packing, like I said, this is an old one, so you can see it bubbles.
But the principles are the same.
All the same.
Yeah, okay.
Other than I have to start with 2 quarts. They may start with 1, 3. You got to read
your
up.
manual. Okay. Yeah, we can see some bubbles.
Yeah. It'll get some heat.
You see that little bubble coming out of there?
Yeah. It jumps.
That's a good shot to show
and
the people.
when you pack your jar, like I said, we pack with, in case they didn't see,
beef and chicken.
Beef and
spice,
chicken,
yeah.
potatoes, carrots, and
you
flavors.
Said you put cabbage in your chicken sometimes.
It flavors the chicken.
Now, let me ask a question. Is it normal to see the dripping coming out of
Sometimes
here?
these older ones is.
Okay, all right. So that's okay if you see that. Make sure yours is locked.
Well, the newer one, you probably ain't gonna have that.
Probably ain't gonna have that, okay. I did order a canner, a pressure canner. I actually have a Presto. I've ordered it, but I didn't know how to use it. So we're learning together, and I'm excited about that. So I'm watching for the bubbles coming out. At what point is enough of that?
Well, sometimes this will click up.
Okay.
And when it does, I'll let my pressure go. It'll barely move up, and then I'll cap.
And we'll show you when he's watching this, because you said before, you don't walk away from this.
You do not take calls while you're pressure canning.
Yeah.
You
got to babysit
Because you
this.
you babysit. You may forget. It's not that all of a sudden everybody's getting killed by them. I've never heard of one explode. I'm sure they have, but if it happened, somebody left it. So let's see where we're at.
I'm just seeing this little splutters. Yeah.
I would say this.
Now, will this start moving?
If this seals, it won't until that seals.
Okay, so the pressure won't start moving until and every canner's gonna, even a pressure cooker has, even your Instant Pots have that little valve that pops up when it gets pressure.
I can start that moving here in just in a moment, but I'm waiting to make sure. I like to get all the air out. It's just.
So that's pumping up all the air out of the inside of the.
See, you still see some bubbles jumping.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I like that. It's releasing the air from inside that sealed container, because you got to get that out to build up the pressure. I see. I understand that part.
So let's see if and sometimes you'll feel a straight. What you want to feel is straight air. See, I don't feel none at the moment. It just goes.
Okay.
This is the older one. So
yeah,
you feel
I see
some.
that. Yeah, you can feel.
It'll have it'll shoot straight up.
It's sporadic though,
right,
okay.
Yeah. So let's see.
But irregardless, even if you got a brand new one in the box, these steps are the same for your pressure cookers. You got to make sure, read your directions, but you've got to make sure that the little valve is doing what it's supposed to do, and that little pressure gauge there
and
is
you can
doing.
buy new gauges and stuff, and plus this is something very helpful.
Yeah, you're going to need one of those.
When you get your cans out.
They make, and I've seen these at like Walmart and different places, and you brought up a good store that I honestly never would have thought to go look for canning supplies, and that's Tractor Supplies.
Yeah.
But they make little kits of items that you might need, like those little handles and the little, we just used a knife to go down in the side to get the air bubbles out. But there are, supplies that you can buy for this.
You can tell them some of the spices if you like.
Oh, yeah. What I did, if you missed, because we're just watching that coming up, and he'll stop us when we're ready. I did a mixture of beef and chicken. I used sirloin steak because that's what was on sale. But you could use any cut of beef that you wanted. I did 2 whole ones in one jar, and then I cubed it in another jar. And I added potatoes, and just little red potatoes, and little baby potatoes, I should say. I had a few left over. I'll just pop these in the air fryer and roast them. But the little small ones like that are perfect. Little baby carrots, that we bought. Let me just grab them. I put all this up, but I should have just left it out. In case you did miss part 1 and 2, just the little prepared baby carrots.
And to be honest with you, it's better than getting the big ones and cutting them up. It's just.
And I did buy, because I got what he told me to get. In the produce department of your grocery store, you will find a little square container called mirepoix, which is cut up carrot, celery, and onion. Basis for so many dishes, and it's already chopped up for you. This is one time, you know, your time is important, and I think it really is better just to buy the already cut up stuff.
Like I said,
unless you have a sous chef that wants to chop it all for you.
If you figure out the weight, you're not saving very much. No,
you're really not. And so we added, you know, you could add whatever vegetables. He added some mushrooms sometimes, cabbage sometimes, broccoli sometimes. You wouldn't want to use things that just go to mush.
Yeah, if you use mushrooms, you want the big ones.
The big mushrooms.
They don't, yeah.
But, you know, I customized the spices. We did use, in all of them, there are either beef bouillon for the beef or chicken bouillon for the chicken, 1 teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt, and 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar with the mother. That's in all of them. And then, and either chicken stock or beef stock, and distilled water to cap it off with. Not regular tap water, but distilled water, because it doesn't have the chlorine and the fluoride and the different things in it. You want pure distilled water. But I bought just the, well, let me just grab them. Right here they are. I used up my pot pie mix, but I got these just spice packets from the grocery store. Get whatever flavor you like. I've got one here that's a brown sugar bourbon. It doesn't have alcohol in it. That's just a flavoring. And it's got molasses and brown sugar, spices, garlic, pepper, paprika, different things in it. Then I got a tomato, garlic, and basil. And I added some garlic powder, some rosemary, some thyme out of my spice pantry, whatever you want to add. And cream of celery soup in my chicken. So it's just
think we can
ready to go.
I don't see too many bubbles. So
all right, put that on.
And that just jumped up.
Okay, can we turn this just a dot? Can you see how that little thing right there came up? It popped up. That's your pressure valve, okay?
Now we're going to start watching this go up, and we'll turn it.
The actual gauge, okay?
You want the can under the pressure past 10, 12 to 10. You don't want. That's where you want a can.
Okay.
And you want a can 1 hour.
In our area.
Yeah.
I would imagine higher altitudes
are different.
Yeah, but in our viewing area.
Deer meat, I can an hour and a half.
Okay. Once it comes up to pressure.
Once it comes up to pressure.
Okay, once that gauge, the timing doesn't start now. The timing starts when this little pressure gauge hits 10. What is that, like pounds per PSI? Is that basically what it is? Oh, it's a temperature thing too, 240. Okay. And we'll show you that. It's starting to rise. I'm watching it. It looked like it went up just a hair, maybe 1 degree.
You know, as soon as you go past 10,
okay,
and you see it hitting 12, you start easing your power down on your stove.
You have to control your heat.
Slowly,
very
not
slow.
fast, or it drops too quick.
Right.
So you just kind of go down with it.
You have to adjust depending. You can do this on a gas stove too. I have a gas stove at home. Actually, I think heat's a little easier to control on gas.
It is. You can back it way down.
But you know, no matter what, whether you have this top, which is just the glass top, or you have the coil kind of stove that a lot of us still have, you can can on any of that. I've seen people do different cannings on their grill.
We taught that on the Dave Star show in Hawaii. They actually had a big gas LP
like
type grill.
A grill. Yeah, so you could do this outdoors if you wanted.
You just have to control the heat. That's the key.
Now, I know my mama did a lot of canning in her younger days. She actually had a second stove in her garage, which was attached to the house, that she did all of her canning out there to keep the heat out of the kitchen, but she didn't have AC. Yep, it's starting to go up now. I see it. Okay. We're going to show you. We're going to get a good close-up shot. But this process is the same no matter what is in this jar. Am I right?
That's correct.
And could you do this pressure canning instead of like hot water pack, that kind of thing? with anything?
You can pressure can anything. The fish is the hardest because it falls apart.
Yeah,
and so
okay.
You can't.
But like if I wanted to make jams and jellies, can you pressure can the jams and jellies?
Well, I'm assuming you can, but the thing about it is,
Or is that better with the hot water pack? Maybe
better
better with the hot water
pack,
canner.
yeah.
There's two different ways to can. But I know Mama always pressure canned green beans.
well, they say, like I said, USDA says any vegetables or meat, this is the safest.
Okay, all right.
And so
This is exciting.
I don't go with that. I just go with the fact that it has worked before.
This man has canned, how many jars of food have you canned in the years? Hundreds of jars.
Yeah, last 2 months I was canned 150.
Okay, so he knows what he's doing. And that's why he's doing this and teaching me and teaching you, because we need to learn how to do this.
Well, plus if, like this one has 7.
Okay, yeah, 7 jars. That's what mine holds.
I'm pretty sure the one they got the last time I taught was it over 20? I mean, it was unreal.
Yeah, some of them are bigger than others.
But you don't want that if you got a stove like this.
No.
This is important.
Canner, yeah. All right, now we turned it around so Austin can get a good shot here. It's almost to 10. It's at like 9.5 right now.
Yeah, you want to pressure can beef and chicken no lower than 10 pounds.
Okay.
I usually keep it around 12.
Okay.
1 solid hour.
Okay.
Once it gets to the pressure.
Once it gets to 10, do we want to start our timing?
No, I usually wait.
Wait till it gets to 12. Once it
wait.
starts moving, it goes pretty quick.
Yeah. I usually, when it gets about 12, start easing it down. It'll sometimes go up to 14. I still ease it down. It works real.
Phone, get my timer going for 1 hour, and you tell me when to start it.
Right now.
Start my timing, all right. Okay, it's at 10.
It is.
We're just going to watch it for a second. We need to back down our heat. Now, here's where your stove might be different than mine. You need to, adjust depending on your stove.
You do not just fast.
Don't go, like my settings go from 1 to 9. Don't go from 9 to 5. That's too much of a drastic heat. So back it down by degrees.
We're going to go down 1 now.
Okay, I'm going to go down to 8. Okay? Because I want to control that. If I left that on 9, that pressure would just go up too high.
You're watching the...
I'm watching this gauge right here. Yeah. This is what we're watching. Because we got a monitor right there so we can see it. It looks to me like it's about 12.
We're going to go down 1 more.
We're going to go down 1 more to 7. And once it starts holding steady...
It will hold steady when you... And I know this sounds crazy, but it'll hold steady usually when you're down about 2.
Oh, so you back down your heat a lot.
A whole lot. Once it gets this pressure.
All right.
So now we're going to go down 1 more.
Okay, we were on 7, so I'm going to 6.
We'll leave it there a moment.
You just got to watch that gauge to watch how it fluctuates. And guys, if you see on your little valve, now don't be moving this. Can you back out just a little bit, Austin? This little thing right here, if you see little pieces of water bubbling out of there, it's okay. Yeah. This little valve back here. And
sometimes even around the sides, I got a little,
Mama always called that the little jiggler.
Yeah.
If you see little bits of water coming out of that jiggler, it's okay. Do not take that off of there.
And you may see some air bubbles around the side like here, no problem. We still got the temperature.
Okay. Do we?
No, we're still about...
We're still at, so you think it's good for here for now?
We'll back it down. It's going up. Go ahead and go down 1 more.
1 more? Okay. Now I'm on 6.
All right.
Timing has started. We're at 57:49. And then we're going to...
Okay, we can come back and show them.
All right.
But here is the secret.
Okay.
You watch this gauge. You do not leave this gauge.
Yeah, you got to watch that. Okay.
And you back your stove down real slow.
To keep it steady.
Keep it steady. Now, what is the pressure now? Give us a shot.
Can you give me a shot? 12. It's been staying at 12.
Just leave it there just for a moment then.
Okay.
And we will come back later, and
We'll come back in 57 minutes, my time, just a second in your time. We'll be back when this is done, and we'll show you how to unload it all. We'll be back in a minute.
Why are you
Okay, it has been an hour at babysitting is the understatement for that.
That's it. Oh, yeah, that's exactly right.
Of course, this was my first time, and he let me monitor and just, guided me through it. But you really, really have to stay. We started out, remember, on my stove, which goes from 1 to 9. We started out at 9 to bring it up to pressure, and then we backed it down 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, held it at 4 a little bit, 3. Then I think at one point we went down to 2. Then we brought it back up to 3 to maintain that pressure. You have to watch that gauge right there. And we kept it between 10 and it kind of went up to 13 once, and we started backing down the heat. When it starts rising above that 13, we back down the heat 1 degree on my stove. You might have to go from
very little,
medium to medium low, whatever on your stove. But you do have to monitor that. You see that caution? You don't want it to get up there. So now our hour is up. And Brother Steve, what do we need to do now?
Well, it's going to take
turn the stove off.
Turn your stove off. It's probably going to take 10, 15 minutes before it zeroes out.
Before the gauge, this gauge goes down to 0. So we're going to come back when that gauge is 0 and 10 minutes has passed beyond that.
Beyond that.
Okay.
Then we'll take this little fella here off.
Okay.
And if there's any steam, it'll come out there.
Okay. So we're just going to, I just wanted you to see that the stove is off. We're going to wait until the gauge goes to 0, and then an additional 10 minutes, and then we'll be back.
But cannot emphasize enough, watch the gauge.
Yes, you do have to watch that gauge. You got to bathe every 3 or 4 minutes. I'm like, okay, it's still at 12. All right, we're all right, leave it alone. Oh, it's gone up to 14. All right, let's back it down. Up, went down to 11. All right, let's turn it.
And remember, that's only 1 hour.
Yeah, it's only an hour. It's not we talked and watched videos, had a good time. So we'll be back when pressure's gone and show you how to undo all this, the final product. Alrighty, now it took about 16 minutes for the pressure gauge to go to 0. You see how it's at 0? And the little metal, I don't know if you can, there we go. This little metal thing right here went down. So we know that we're good to go.
Right, so we're going to take off this little fella, and we can tell there's nothing. And
now what if there were a little bit of steam coming out of that?
No problem.
Should you wait till that stops? Okay, wait till, if you have steam, do not try that till that little gauge is at 0. If you have steam coming out of here, you need to wait till that stops, all right?
And again, we want to emphasize, you watch the gauge, you do not leave it.
No, you do not.
Because right when you think it's stuck there, it moves.
It will move. You've got to babysit that and adjust your heat up or down to keep it between 10 and 12-ish.
Yeah, don't go below 10.
No.
With the beef and the chicken.
If it starts going down, you want to raise that heat on your stove.
So
1 degree or,
So we are going to go
now
inside.
We're ready to take it off and see. And I have laid out just a couple of towels to set it on, kitchen towels, clean kitchen towels. Okay?
That's steam.
Yeah, be careful. Take the lid off away from your face.
Yep. I'm going to set it right here just a second.
Oh, I'm excited. So excited.
Now you actually can, with this screen in here, take them all out at the same time.
Oh, okay. Do you want to do that, or do you want to just use your little tongs? Let's be safe and just use the tongs.
Yeah, that might be best.
Yeah. Do you want me to move this over?
No, that's fine.
You want to move the canard over here, or are we good?
We're good.
That has a little rubber grip on it, so it grips that really, really well. And you want to take them out. And now, Austin, can you get a good shot in here You see how that's still boiling?
It hasn't sealed yet. That's the reason why you just leave it alone.
Leave it alone. But you see how that's still boiling? Leave it be. Don't.
And do not touch the top of the...
No.
You'll seal it yourself.
Leave it alone.
It has to seal itself.
And you'll hear a little when it seals. That's kind of what it sounds like. There's my chicken. This is beef. That's chicken. Yum, yum, yum. There's a beef. Separate them a little bit because these are hot. You've got to let this cool. This part I know because of doing tomatoes. That's boiling hot. You can see it's still bubbling in there. There's a chicken. And you got a little water on top. That's okay.
It'll eventually just evaporate
touch
usually.
it. Don't try to dab that off. Just leave it be. Leave the rings on. And this will take several hours to cool down, won't it?
Yes.
So we're just going to leave it alone
until it's
itself. Cold. And the seals. Now, how you know it's sealed, the can lid is a little bit up, and it'll depress into almost like a little bit of a concave action, and you'll know it's sealed. Now, tomorrow, you would want to touch the tops. And
make sure it's sealed
to make sure it's sealed.
Right.
If, when you touch it, it goes down, you need to put it in the fridge and eat it.
Correct.
You know, maybe a day or two, but eat it. But when you touch it, if it doesn't do anything, then you know it's sealed. When they're cool, you will want to date it. Like I would put 6/20 for June of 20, and what it is, chicken, beef with carrots, or whatever it is that you've put in. And then I store mine, and you said you store yours with the rings on.
I do.
Some people take the rings off. I don't do that.
It's best, I think it's best to leave them on, but it's...
Yeah. But there you